Okay, his response to shlockofgod and his response to my the Agency Asymmetry video. And you state you can separate agency from the agent because the actions of the agent is behavior, where agency is the property itself. The ability to act and choose is not the same as action done or chosen. Okay. I guess I should have said you can't separate agency from the agent. You can't do that justifiably, I guess I should say. Sure, you can, and I did, just using just the property. That's how I got the 4 cells for the agency asymmetry table. I just took the ability to act and choose as a property in itself. Now when I say you can't justify doing that, is because, yeah, the agency inevitably leads to action or choices being made. It's just the way it is. For instance, I mean, you get in your examples, you say person A is murdered. That killing is judged ethically wrong based on solely on the level of suffering involved. Well, first of all, I mean, person A is murdered. How did they get murdered? By another agent, right? It took agency to deprive person A of agency. Right? You can't have the deprivation of agency without agency existing. Right? That's what I'm trying to say. Agency leads to action. Always. That's why I say you can't justifiably separate the two. You say, well, the person B dies of natural causes. Here we do not have a sufficient basis upon which to judge person B's death as ethically wrong. The important difference in these two scenarios is that one is a violation of agency and the other is not. Yeah, the violation of agency occurred via agency. Here, agency is a necessary factor for making a correct ethical judgment. Right. The agency of one person deprived another person of agency. That's what I'm getting at about not justifiably separating the actions of the agent from the agency itself. The other example, person A has their wallet stolen and experiences suffering and deprivation. Again, agency is involved in the wallet being stolen. Person B has their wallet stolen, but for some reason experiences no suffering or deprivation. And again, these are existent beings. You're not talking about non-existent beings. You're talking about existent beings getting their wallet stolen. Right? It took agency for person A to get their wallet stolen. That's why I'm saying if there's only a choice between agency and not agency would be the preferred state of existence. You know, either existent or non-existent. Non-existent, there's no agency, and there's nobody getting their wallet stolen. That's what I'm talking about. So, it is clear that person A has been wronged, but it can be said that person B, but can it be said that person B has also been wronged? You're arguing yes. And I'm arguing again, it's because it all boils down to agency. You know, the only reason these person A and person B were wronged is because agency exists in the world. So, yeah. You say behavior has nothing to do with agency. Well, see, I'll have to disagree. I mean, agency leads to behavior. Always, inevitably. But again, I've taken it by your just the property of agency, and I've made my table using your definition of agency. My argument, you say my argument argues only the positive, negative, or neutral of agency. Right, that's what I did. If you don't understand that, how can you understand Benatar's argument since it's a similar thing? Well, I did the exact same thing and came up with the exact same table that Benatar came up with. You say, to say that we don't have control is like saying we are responsible for what we do. I think that's kind of a bad paraphrase, but we're talking about determinism now. So when I say we don't have, ultimately we don't have control, it's all the brain doing, it doesn't mean we aren't responsible for what we do. That's just a fact. I mean, we are responsible for what we do, even if the circumstances are such that you or whoever became a rapist. They became a rapist because their brain decided rape is a good thing for whatever reason. But it wasn't like the rapist decided, oh, I'm going to be a rapist because it's a good thing. The brain, just for whatever reason, the circumstances it was in, or maybe just a physical malfunction of the brain, decided rape was a good thing. But the rapist is still responsible for raping. You say determinism, I was using determinism newspeak. A ball can't roll down a hill wrong. Determinism is silly. Well, it's not silly. It's just all the evidence points to determinism. It's cause and effect. We are all put in circumstances that we didn't pick. All right? I didn't pick my sperm and ovum. They were picked for me. That was a first cause of me being. And then I grew and my brain formed. You know, I didn't have any control over the formation of my brain, and my brain, you know, took in input, and here I am now. I've had all these years of experience, and because of the circumstances I was in. Doesn't mean that I can't change my mind, but I can't change my mind without input to change my mind. It's cause and effect. I need a cause to change my mind. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't compare. What was it? I said a rock can't roll down a hill wrong. Well, yeah, the brain is different than a rock. I mean, the rock doesn't respond to input and analyze the situation and then make a conclusion. It just, you know, it just is a rock. But there's still cause and effect. The ball isn't going to roll down the hill unless something acts on it. Same thing with the brain. It's acted upon, and it comes up with conclusions. It decides proper action or improper action. It can be rational or irrational. You say it should be never existent, whatever, in my table. The experience of the absence of agency can only be referring to the effects of its absence for the existent. But those effects are in the category of pain and suffering, which doesn't belong in there. Well, no, I'm using just as a property. I am saying, based on your argument, the presence of agency is good, right? We agreed in the existent column it's a good thing, and the absence of agency is a bad thing for the existent. And when we go to the non-existent, I'm just simply saying the absence of that absence of agency is good for the non-existent. It has nothing to do with pain or pleasure. You are saying it's bad for the existent, in that it does correlate to the pain in Benatar's column, because the absence of a bad thing for the existent is good, regardless of anyone having that good. Just period. It's absence of something bad for an existent being is therefore good. it's not the same thing as when you say the absence of agency is bad, even if that bad is not experienced by anyone. That's in my original video I said that was I forget the word, outrageous, I think I used. Yeah, because you're saying if the absence of something bad in Benatar's is a good thing. You're saying the absence of something bad is a bad thing, right? And this doesn't make sense, right? How are you putting it? The absence of agency is bad, even if that bad is not experienced by anyone. Well, a bad that is not experienced by anyone is good, according to the Benatar logic. That's why I said it was outrageous in my original video. It's different than saying the absence of pleasure is bad. You could substitute for agency the absence of pleasure is bad, even if that bad is not experienced by anyone. Yeah, you're accusing me of smuggling in pain and pleasure into my table, but I'm not. You're kind of smuggling in agency into the argument, which shouldn't. I mean, yeah, you could have just changed. You could have said the absence of pleasure is bad, even if that bad is not experienced by anyone. But that doesn't make sense. Something bad that is not experienced is good. That's what Benatar is saying. Well, well, yeah, but see, you're mixing it all up. You're giving me a headache, right? Yeah, a bad that is not experienced by anyone is bad. I don't know how to tell you how much that doesn't make sense. That would correspond to, like I said, the absence of agency is bad goes in the existent column, and if that absence of agency is not experienced by anyone, that's a good thing. Anyhow, you say the absence of agency is indistinguishable from the absence of pain is good. Well, I mean, it's distinguishable in the sense that we're using agency now instead of pain, right? You agree the absence of agency is bad for an existent being. So yeah, it would correlate with the absence of pain in Benatar's table. Yeah. You say I don't see any argument for the absence of agency is not bad. Well, again, I just said it. It correlates with the pleasure in Benatar's table. It would be the absence of agency, or the presence of agency is good for the existence, but it's not bad that the presence of agency is not experienced. You said the whole column is incoherent. Well, like I said, it does correlate to Benatar's table. That's what I'm saying. If you just use agency as the property itself, the only way it can be, the absence of agency can be bad is for the existent. That's why it goes in the existent column. It correlates with Benatar's table, I agree, but I am using your definition of agency, just the property of it, just its existence. It's better to have agency than not to have agency. I came up with that table, my agency asymmetry table, based on your argument. You're saying the absence of agency is bad for the existent being. That correlates with the presence of harm being bad. And it just, yeah, it does correlate, but I am using your property of agency to do that. Okay, you say in order to experience bad things as a result of agency, you have to be existent. Right. You're agreeing there. But then you say, but you don't have to be existent in order for the absence of agency to be bad. I don't know. See, that's not justified. You just You put it in the non-existent column by fiat. You gotta say you don't have to be existent for the absence of harm to be good. Right, because the presence of harm is bad. The absence of that harm is good, regardless, period. That's why I'm saying the absence of agency is bad, and the absence of that absence of agency is good. You don't have to be existent for that to be a good thing. I've already stated in my video why the absence of agency can be bad even if not experienced by anyone. Well, no, you actually haven't. You say I haven't addressed that. Well, I just did. Actually, that was the part I cut out of my previous video because I was talking about how you can't justifiably separate the actions that come from agency, because agency inevitably leads to actions of some sort. And in your examples, you're talking about existent beings being deprived of agency. So, yeah, you're saying that something bad, not experienced by anyone, is bad. And I don't know what else to say about that not making sense. A bad not experienced by anyone is bad. No, bad not experienced by anyone is good. I don't know what else to say. Going to the presence of agency being good. It will be good if we say it consists in its presence, not it's good because it's present. Isn't that saying the same thing? It will be good if we say it consists in its presence, not it's good because it's present. I don't see a distinction there. You're basically saying it's good. It's better to. It's good to be present and bad to not be present. So you're kind of saying, yeah, it's good because it's present, relative to it not being there, which would be bad. Anyhow, you say I can't follow why the absence of agency goes in the existent column. Did you actually say that? I can't follow why the absence of agency goes in the existent column? I'm going to have to check up on that. Okay, I'm just going to play this part, because, yeah, you did kind of say that, but anyhow, I'll just play this part.
We're in the existent column here for an existing being, not talking about what the agent does. The presence of agency is good, irrelevant of what the agent does. The absence of agency is bad. That goes in the existing column. I can't follow that.
Yeah, you're talking about my existent column, and you say you can't follow that. I thought it was pretty plain. That's what you're saying. The presence of agency is good for the existent being, and the absence of agency is bad for the existent being. Those go in the existent column. You keep picking snippets, you say. Well, I mean, I don't say to that. I've read your argument a couple times at least now. I didn't address your arguments last time because I was just accepting your argument that presence of agency is good, bad, or neutral, just a property. So I didn't bother going to the argument because I was just accepting it. Now I have addressed that part. Hopefully I think I've addressed every part of your argument. If I haven't, I guess we'll go around 3 or something. You say it's better if agency didn't exist is just an assertion. Well, I think as I've already said in this video, yeah, if you're just going to pick between existent beings having agency or non-existence, no agency, I'll pick the no agency, because I have a very hard time separating agency from the actions of the agent, because agency leads to actions, always. I have made arguments why it's bad for the non-existent. No, you haven't really done that. You gave an example of a person, for whatever reason, didn't suffer when they got their wallet stolen. But that's an existent being, and maybe you could explain how somebody would not suffer when they get them. I mean, are they just too rich to care? Well, I mean, that's kind of a wrong way of looking at it. I mean, the poor guy is going to be upset when they get their wallet stolen. Maybe the rich guy won't, but that goes to the old unfairness of life thing. But you really haven't made the argument why it's bad for the non-existent. You just said that the existent might not suffer when they get their wallet stolen, when they have their agency taken away. But you haven't made the case why it's bad for the non-existent. Go to my arguments. They are sound. I still don't think they are. You say you have to be existent, but does that mean Benatar's absence of harm is good? Well, again, yeah, the absence of harm is good. Do you agree? I mean, the absence of harm is a good thing. Regardless, you say if you think the absence of agency is bad, is not sound, say why. Oh, I guess you mean for the non-existent. Well, I think I've already stated that. The absence of agency is bad for the existent, but the absence of agency for the non-existent is not bad. Like I say, it correlates with the Benatar table. You say it would be a negative state relative to having it. Right, for the existent. That's why I made my table of agency asymmetry. It's a negative state for the existent being to not have agency. It's good to have agency for the existent. And then you go for the non-existent. It's good to it's good to be absent, the absence of agency, and it's not bad just to simply be absence of agency. Say, I have redefined the absence of agency as the experience of the absence of agency. Well, I mean, you're talking about experience. You're saying the absence of agency is bad, even if that bad is not experienced by anyone. That's in your premise, experienced. So I don't know even why you're saying that. You say the argument that the absence of agency can be bad, even if not experienced by anyone. Well, see, again, you're saying something bad, not experienced, is bad. No, that's good. I don't know how else to say it. I was going to say the good, even if not experienced by anyone, is superfluous. I mean, it's just the absence of harm is good, period. You can agree or disagree, but I say the absence of harm is good. Going to your example, I might have already said this, but give an example of the person deprived of agency, yet this person doesn't suffer as a result. So how exactly is that a negative? Right? Anyhow, well, yeah, you didn't address my argument that according to your conclusion, that, I mean, if we just take it at face value, the absence of agency is bad, which is going to go in the non-existent column, then we're perfectly justified, or, you know, you can pick either way. The natalist will pick I guess the non-existent column, which says the absence of agency is bad, and say, well, I need to do something about that. And make babies. Make babies as many as you can, because every time you make a baby, you're preventing a bad. So, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.